Hello and welcome to another EU5 video. We are now going to be having a look at the latest Tinto Talk, which is looking at the way that the game has changed based on your feedback when it comes to things like the Italian wars, the Guelphs and Ghibellines, and other things regarding Italy in the 1.3 beta that has been out for a couple of weeks now. So, welcome to another Tinto Talk. Ryagu is going to be talking to us alongside Habibi and Big Boss and Pintu. This time, rather than the usual look forwards, they're instead covering some of the feedback they've gathered on the reworked Italian situations through the 1.3 open beta and what changes they've made throughout that process. They covered the reworks themselves previously in Tinto Talk 111, which we've obviously made a video on already. So if you want to see what's actually changed since 1.2, give that one a read. There's also a video that I don't think I covered on the channel, but yeah, you should go watch that one as well. But yeah, let's go in and have a look. Quick update about the current status of 1.3 beta first. They are very happy with the open beta's progress and reception, which they'll go to in greater detail in the future 1.3 retrospective Tinto Talk. Here is our plan to round out the 1.3 beta period. So 138 released yesterday. It's not yesterday for me anymore, because I'm getting to this one a little bit late, but my bad. It serves as the last full patch before 1.3 hits live. They do have a plan on a minor hotfix later in the week to address a small handful of balance concerns before 1.3 goes into live branches, which is currently slated for within the week of the 8th of July. So, what I'm hoping that this is some of the things that I know I made video a few days ago on Tuesday complaining about logistics, complaining about the horrible defensive league post-war calling in exploit. Hopefully those things are going to be included in this balancing. Like, I did also not only make the video, I did also report my experience to the devs, and so hopefully there's going to be some changes based on that. And I know a lot of people called it a skill issue and called it me being salty about being losing a war and all of this honest nonsense. I think a lot of people who are hating on my opinions in that video didn't actually listen to what I said. They saw 50 stack and decided, yes, the problem is you, rather than me pointing out that, yes, even when I split up into 10k stacks, also starved, that's not good. That's not a good game design. So, yeah, hopefully those things that I experienced are also going to be a part of this fix, and yeah, we'll see if that's the case. So, in the 1.3 Italian Wars panel, if you've been playing the beta, you're already familiar with it. I did one game in Italy since 1.3 came out, and I didn't actually reach the Italian Wars, but I did conquer all of Italy before it happened. So I don't know. I'm not sure if the Italian Wars fire at that point. Maybe they do. I vaguely remember them saying that it still fires. You just kind of win almost immediately. But yeah, it's a good panel. It's a good panel. I remind you, if you need to catch up on the reworked Italian Wars, do then go and watch those ones. Okay, so Habibi, community ambassador on EU5. He was actually playing the Ottomans in the game that I was playing on Tuesday. I think he also had a pretty rough time. First of all, thanks everyone for taking part and giving us feedback on patch 1.3, whether it's the daily feedback threads or individual posts on our forums and Reddit. They've been monitoring the feedback on the Italian Wars since it was the major reworked situation of patch 1.3. Let's break down the feedback they got so far about the new situation rework. So what landed well? Headline is a good one that we're proud of. Many of us are calling the Italian Wars rework one of the best situations in the game. Here are some key positive takeaways. Tension system delivers. Many players describe a satisfying arc where pressure builds gradually and then erupts into a peninsula-wide war that pulls in multiple foreign rivals, followed by a period of rebuilding before the cycle starts again. Many of us have been calling it a Thunderdome, which players seem to really enjoy. The goal feels worth chasing. pushing to a victory in the Italian wars has not only seen as much clear progression towards victory, but also seen as worth it. The rewards are much better in patch 1.3, and many of us really like that. Some of us even slated that losing also is not too bad, since you also feel satisfied with multiple fun wars and temporary rewards received. The new flavor shines. They added new dynamic events, new additions to the Italian war situation, all of which have been widely positively received by us. Additionally, the reworked Italian Wars UI and breakdown screens were called out as a real step up compared to 1.2. Situation reshapes the map in a good way. Many people stated that the situation is doing its job of consolidating the peninsula in an interesting way, while letting new regional and major powers have their hand in Italy. And finally, the addition of the Balkan League has been widely received well. Many enjoy the inclusion of the Balkan League as one of the factions within the Italian War situation. Many have stated the Italian Wars ties well with Byzantium mid-game progression. Yeah, great. Good stuff. Things that I have read online, forums, Reddit, my own comments, seem to pretty much be in line with this. People do seem to enjoy it. I've seen some people complain of bugs. I've seen some people complain of wars being a little too large. But these are few and far between compared to the positives. The constructive feedback clustered around a handful of clear themes, and these are the ones that I've been noticing and tracking the most. The AI are picking unwinnable fights. The most common note we see occurring across platforms is the AI league leaders keep declaring wars they have no realistic path to win, sometimes with no way to even reach Italy. They've added more robust behavior in 1.38 for their AI that should help to address this. Okay. League loyalty is too fluid. Members swapping sides shortly after being forced into a faction, a forced dissolved leagues reforming too quickly, and too much difficulty in keeping allies in player leagues all came up. It seems the community league members want league members to feel a bit stickier and less fluid. I don't know if I would say more sticky and less fluid, but like these things here, if I force dissolve a league, I feel like there should be some kind of cooldown in reforming. If you force someone into a faction, immediately swapping out feels pretty naff, because now you have a truce with the person you just forced into your faction, and you can't do anything about that. Like, there again should just be cooldowns. I think in all of these cases, cooldowns would probably solve everything. Pacing and the ending of the situation. The community seems split on the 50-year hard timer for the situation. Some feel 50 years is too tight of a window for a solo win. Others want a route to win the situation earlier once Italy is entirely secured. And several of us asked for a stalemate path so a situation with no dominant league does not drag indefinitely. They also noticed some AI run posts of AI struggling to achieve victory in the situation. They're still tracking feedback on the matter, so if you have thoughts, please let us know. Alright. They're also currently investigating the potential of extending the duration of the situation from 50 to 65 or 75 years. So, for a couple of reasons. Through testing, it appears 50 years may be too short for a country like Milan to unify most of Italy. I mean, not really. Not really. Especially without prior knowledge of the situation to come. In reality, the Italian wars lasted for 65 years. Okay, well, in my opinion, this should be the... Like, if you're going to have a hard cutoff, like this is the length of the League War, choosing the length that it actually took, probably better, just in general. The new length they're investigating now for the situation, from our estimates, rests between 65 and 75 years, still considerably quicker than its first iteration of 100 years, while giving some much needed breathing room. Based on the findings, the change may or may not come in the future. Feel free to let us know what you think. Look, I feel like even if this feels too long for some people, this seems like the better number anyway, right? Because you can justify it with history. Obviously, that history is completely meaningless when you are in a alt history scenario, playing in the game yourself with borders that do not match the historical reality of the time. But if you gotta have some amount of length, you gotta choose some level, then, that seems reasonable to me. And then they're obviously trying to track bugs and polish issues related to the situation, looking at bugs in the Paradox bug reports. So if you've got them, go report them. Yeah, lovely stuff. Although they're wrapping up 1.3, they like to remind us that they're always taking new feedback, so keep the reports coming in, the daily feedback threads, and continue filing bugs through the in-game reporter and the bug reform. So nothing slips through. All right, on to Big Boss. He is the lead in the rework for the Italian Wars. The release sets a new bar for situations. The reworked Italian Wars are deeper, more polished, and more intricate than before, built to keep both players and AI on their toes. Complexity like this comes with growing pains, though, and the 1.3 beta surfaced its share. Renegade peace treaties, effects misbehaving on the script or GUI side, and more. Thanks to a real collective effort, they've ironed them all out. As the beta closes, what's left is a finely tuned situation, ready for release, and explosive, memorable wars raging across the whole Italian peninsula. They want to stress that the rework is kickstarted and carried the entire way by community feedback. The milestone simply wouldn't have happened without us. So, let's go into the nitty-gritty. From the 1.3 beta up to today, he's hunted down and squashed a long list of issues, and he'd like to walk through some of the highlights. So, countries can no longer rejoin a war via intervene in a war if they have a truce with the target country. It was fixed by a simple check of, do we have a truce with the country we want to join against? He rewrote the AI logic for send aid and intervene in war, the former to no longer give too much noisy aid, and the latter to no longer dogpile and overstack a war. Big wars in Italy are fun. Being beaten with a stick by several major countries, not so much. With better AI logic, AI is less prone to joining wars just to fight your consolidation of the peninsula. They still do it, mind you, but not as much. The send aid action is now less spammy. The AI will still give you the occasional assistance, especially if their interests align with your ongoing war. For example, if you're fighting their rivals or enemies. He fixed an issue that allowed the vassalization of the Italian League sponsors. There's some script for people who know script. According to the above, vassalization occurs when a country in question is not already a subject of anybody, if their capital is in Italy, and does not have the was sponsor variable. In this context, a scope target country is the leader of the winner IO, and the script resides in the event situation Italian Wars text. He's literally showing where you can find it. Cool. Overall, they're very happy with how the reworked Italian Wars have landed with the community, and they feel the situation sets a standard for these types of situations going forward. Lovely stuff. Back with Habibi again for some Guelphs and Ghibellines, or is it Ghibellines? I remember somebody correcting in my comments about how I pronounced it, and I can't remember if I changed or not to the new pronunciation. I'm going to go with Ghibellines, whatever. The Guelphs and Ghibellines drew some of the most detailed write-ups they've seen, and the level of historical knowledge and design thinking on display has been a pleasure to read. A breakdown of the feedback they received from positive to what we're tracking moving forward. So, the UI is an improvement. Most players found the reworked interface cleaner and more readable than previous versions, with the core information laid out well. The new leader's action adds agency. New support Imperial rival action gives faction leaders a new lever to shape the contest, and it seems many have appreciated having a way to push on the situation rather than only watching it tick. Situation Rework produces close and dynamic finishes. They've seen a handful of fun stories with the Guelphs and Ghibellines, including games that come down to figures like 98 versus 95%, with countries switching sides throughout. It has a solid side objective. A number of you described it as a nice actionable goal layered into Italian campaigns. The new rewards are positively received. Rewards for winning on either side as the leader has been a nice reward for players to work towards. The reward previously was like nothing. I guess if you are of the Ghibelline persuasion, that being if you support Pope, I'm pretty sure that's the one that supports the Pope. I always get them mixed up. If you support the Pope, all of Italy leaving the HRE was good for your aggressive expansion, or antagonism, sorry, and the ability to take land without the Emperor saying, actually, you don't get any control here for a while. So, yeah, perfect. That used to be the goal, but now we've gotten more. New time flavor adds to the situation and region. Wider flavor additions in patch 1.3, such as dynamic events, advances, and city-specific content picked up praise and helped the whole region feel more alive. What they're still tracking from feedback. The Emperor's weight on the scales is too high. It was one of the most common constructive feedbacks they received. Bohemia, specifically as Emperor of the HRE, has a huge impact on the ticking of the Ghibellines. Okay, my bad. Ghibellines is the Emperor. The Guelphs are the Pope. I told you I always get them mixed up. Anyway, the taking on the Ghibellines and make a Guelph victory feel too difficult or entirely out of reach. Some players reported cases where most of Italy is backed by the Guelphs, yet the Ghibellines still won on the Emperor's contribution alone. A frequent suggested direction is to reduce or rethink how much an Emperor with no Italian land contributes. Forced faction changes are not sticking. Many of us reported the newly added 2-year cooldown on faction changes is still too little, with long and difficult wars to force faction changes leading to that nation switching back in just 2 years. Yeah, especially as truces last longer than 2 years, making the forced faction change feel useless. The shared request is to make the period of switching sides even longer, especially after a forced faction change. Faction loyalty and logic. Some players found switching hard to understand the AI logic not being clear in why it determines a faction switch. There's also reports of faction leaders allying one another, which some feel should not be possible. Yeah, I've not seen that, but that's crazy. Vassals and faction loyalty. Recurring ask is for more control over your subjects' alignment. Right now, vassals can sit in the opposing faction with no tool or diplomatic action to bring them into our faction. Several players asked simply for vassals to follow their overlord as long as they're loyal. I agree, that'd be a good thing. I was going to say just a button that I can click to force them in, and it costs some loyalty. But yeah, just having them follow whatever I'm in if they're loyal, that seems good too. Depth for non-leaders and the Imperial side. Outside of the leader actions, some of us have noticed that there's still not a great deal to do beyond using the associated CB, and some emperors felt their stake in the outcome was less defined than before. Many have suggested more diplomatic, economic, and intrigue-based ways to influence the contest rather than relying mainly on war. Some ideas shared were sponsoring favourable rulers to dispose of others in the Italian republics, directly being able to cause instability in rivals and causing civil wars in rivals. It's clear from the level of feedback that many players want to dig into the conflict, and many of us are very passionate about it. The reworked UI and the new leader tools are a foundation that the community feels broadly hit the mark as an improvement, and the bulk of the asks are about deepening the contest. So, on to Pintu, who has worked on the Guelphs and Ghibellines. A major goal for us was to address the interactivity of the situation, and with that, the balance between the passive increase through economic growth and tackling the lack of rewards for proactive involvement. To that effect, they've introduced a proactive score gain for using the Force Faction Change CB in order to grow the faction, while also attaching a reverse effect towards attacking your own faction members. This should overall bring the situation in a more balanced state between aggressively exerting influence over other countries, direct conquest of new territories, and passively increasing your economy in order to bring your own country in a position of leadership and your faction closer towards asserting your goals over your rivals. In turn, they're pretty happy with the overall perception of the CB as an opportunistic option that could even be intentionally misused for your own benefit, disregarding your faction's well-being. The previous mentioned effects on faction progress of using the attached peace treaty option should therefore level the playing field a bit between using the CB for the officially stated purpose and using it for other means, like basically conquering your opponent. That is generally how it was used all the way through from the release of the game. Is I'm going to join a different faction to the people around me so that I have now got a CB that I can use against you. But yeah, I feel like I use that quite a bit. Anyway, additionally, a major problem reported to us was the lack of lasting consequences at the end of the situation, with the decisiveness not being where they'd like it to be. First off, we did not like the main outcome of the situation was a victory for either the Guelphs or Ghibellines, and a stalemate outcome of reaching 1437 without a winner was almost never happening. This should now work out much smoother, and achieving a victory for either faction should no longer be given in every playthrough just from passive score alone. With the introduction of additional time blocks added to the Guelph victory, stopping the Italians from rejoining the HRE, and giving rewards for either leader or country in case of victory, any outcome of the situation should now have a more visible, lasting impact on a campaign. The rewards coming with the situation being tied to the ability to increase the country rank within the HRE rules, Ghibellines, or forming Italy with an added benefit of no longer requiring specific location ownership for the Guelphs, should also set the ground nicely for the following Italian war situation. Guelphs and Ghibellines is a situation that sets the political landscape for both Italy and the HRE, so it's important that the systems at play here hit the mark. They feel that both the Italian wars and Guelphs and Ghibellines are in a much better place now compared to 1.2, and that's mostly thanks to feedback. These two situations together set the bar for different styles of situations, one being more structured and one being more systematic. With 1.3 making the way out of beta soon, next will be a shorter Tinto talk. After that, they'll take a retrospective on the beta process as a whole and what they found from it and where they have moved forward from there. Awesome.
Mama said I could have a toffee ice cream.
That's amazing. Go on then.
I promise, actually. I'm not lying.
Okay. Anyway, with that said, my son is having a toffee ice cream, And my final thoughts are that things have improved. I am happy with the changes in Italy. Obviously, it is my favorite place to play, so I am obviously happy that there is a focus being placed on Italy. Like I said, I've done one campaign in Italy since 1.3 came out. But I will definitely plan to do more, especially when we get the new achievements on Steam. Because obviously the new achievements for Italy are in the game itself, but they don't register on Steam, as far as I can tell. So when that happens, I will be playing some more in Italy. And maybe I'll stream it too. We'll see. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know your thoughts on 1.3 if you've been playing it, where you've been playing, where you've been finding fun, any country recommendations for me, any diamonds in the rough that you have found. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.